Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte clear liners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces, plus they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you could pay with your HSA, FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Hey guys, and welcome to Criminality Podcast, the podcast where we know loving reality TV is not a crime. Even though these stars, they are just criminals every moment of every day. We will never run out of things to talk about, but let's get to you. Why am I doing this intro so long? Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
No, that was totally on par for what we do here. I'm good. It's fake fall in New York.
Is it getting coolish?
Yeah, it's really? Like 65 in the mornings, but this won't last. It's going to get hot again. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up is because we're in fall. That like, okay. Yeah, it's like apples. And it's like, no, it'll be hot in 2 weeks, but gosh, it's perfect right now.
Oh, you got to take your wins where you can get them.
100%.
My mother-in-law the other night was here dropping my kids off, and she was like, oh, it feels cool. And I was like, are you okay? And I looked at my app, and it was at night, and it was like 82 degrees. And I said, I think you have a fever. Go home.
That's so depressing.
It was so bad. But yeah, we don't get fake fall. We just don't get fall. And we'll get the fall in December. So that'll be nice. I'll enjoy that when it happens.
That's so wild to me.
Yeah. In reality TV news, there is one thing that came up today. I posted on Criminality. I don't know if you saw it, but from 1,000 Pound Sisters, our girl Amy got arrested.
What did she do?
Okay, well, I'll say the charges first, or kind of what I remember the charges to be. So it's like it's basically she had something in her car, some kind of drugs, maybe marijuana, maybe mushrooms. It's not clear right now. But the way the article starts off is to say that Amy Slayton gets bit by a camel while visiting the zoo. She gets bit by a camel, comes out, the police come, they talk to her, but they go to the car and they're like, what is that smell? And then from there she gets arrested.
No, it's not possible.
It absolutely is. And she, I guess, has a boyfriend or something. He was arrested too. So all that part is kind of sad because I guess the kids were there and there's like child endangerment.
Oh, no.
But bit by a camel?
But also the shady writer who's like still going to put that in the headline. Like, it's like.
I know.
I kind of actually, I was going to say like they buried the lead, but like I think they didn't. I think they led with the lead.
Honestly, that was the part when I posted on Criminality, I said I was laughing. But then, like, the kid stuff makes me sad. But
of course,
bit by a camel.
I mean, I didn't even know they bit. They do have quite the chompers, but I've never been bit by a camel. But I've gotten close to one, and it sneezed on me. I've been sneezed on by a camel, and I think I'd rather be bitten, honestly.
That is so disgusting.
It was intimate. It was gross. Wow.
Oh, goodness.
Poor Amy.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, I hope she gets it together because that's just not good for her kids.
Yeah,
of course.
No, driving with kids. No
I know.
drugs.
I want to cheer for her. Yeah. Feels very obvious. But Rebecca, not too much else going on in the reality TV front, and I don't have a good lead-in. So if you're ready to get started in this week's episode, I'm happy to share it.
Born ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So when I started digging into this story, I knew today's subject had popped up in a ton of things I've watched over the years. In fact, she's been in some of my all-time favorite shows. 30 Rock, Everybody Loves Raymond, and of course, Trial and Error. Rebecca, you know how much I love trial and error.
I don't know how much.
What?
Tell me. No.
You know trial and error, though, right?
No.
Oh, my gosh. Who have I been sharing this with?
Not me.
I know. I feel like I've been cheating on you. Trial and error. It was John Lithgow was in the first season. It was on NBC a few years ago. You know which one
we've talked
this is,
about
right?
this. Yes, I'm sorry.
I wasn't cheating
it's
on
just
you.
my
Yay.
bad memory. Yeah, see, I'm like an easy target. You could totally cheat on me. Who cares? Who? What?
So anyway, love Trial and Error. It was amazing. You do know that I love Trial and Error. But honestly, her whole entire IMDb is packed with roles in TV and movies and even reality TV. So this week, we're diving into all things Sherri Shepherd, including her time on The View, her countless TV characters, and a surrogacy story that ended up all the way at the Supreme Court.
Whoa.
So that's brand new information for you.
Completely. All I know from what you've said so far is Sherri Shepherd, The View, and 30 Rock.
There you go. Okay, we're getting somewhere. So before Sherri Shepherd became a household name, her journey began in the Chicago suburbs. Born on April 22nd, 1967, she is the oldest of 3 sisters. So when she was 11, her parents, Laverne and Lawrence Shepherd, actually divorced. And part of that was due to religious differences, is one thing I read. She grew up in a very strict Jehovah's Witness household. So her whole world when she was smaller and really into adulthood was about faith and her community. But even as a kid, she was funny, and she felt like she found so much happiness in making other people laugh. Based on a picture I saw of you recently from when you were a kid that is so freaking adorable and standing next to, was it Elvis?
It was like a wax figure of Elvis.
Okay. And your little smile and everything, I was like, oh, that's a little Sherri Shepherd. Not really, but it looked like you enjoyed making people laugh. How about that?
I did.
So after high school, though, Sherri didn't go straight into showbiz. Instead, she actually became a legal secretary.
Good for her.
But the spark for comedy was always there, and it was just waiting for its moment. And that moment came when she moved to LA. So here is a clip of Sherri talking to Andrew Dice Clay, of all people.
Whoa, that's intense.
And he's like a very important part of her lore. My daughter loves to say the word lore. But like what she hears from him and what she does during this conversation kind of changes the trajectory of her life.
I was a legal secretary, and I was sitting in the audience watching you, and everybody was laughing, moving back and forth, you and Eddie Griffin. And I said, I want to do this. But I walked up to you that night, you and Eddie were standing outside, and I said, how do I do it? And you said, just do it. And I said, I'm scared. And you said, well, do it scared.
Oh, it's so good. I love that.
Isn't it? I thought it was really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically she sees Andrew Dice Clay, she sees Eddie Murphy, she sees all these people and has to become brave enough. I love that. Do it while you're scared.
Good advice.
But I don't think he's the originator of that at all.
No, I don't think so
right?
either. No, but I like that he told her that and that she took it.
Totally, absolutely. And so thank goodness she does take this advice, because it's not long before her talent is recognized. In 1995, she's doing stand-up, but she lands her first role on the sitcom Cleghorn.
Cleghorn?
Cleghorn. If you're like, hey, that's my favorite show, you're a liar, because it was very short-lived. But her agent actually told her, this is going to be a hit. This is your start. You can quit your job as a legal secretary, which she does. I know, like right away. But of course, the show gets canceled. She loses her apartment.
Oh my gosh.
She loses her car. And basically, she couch surfs for a while because she doesn't have anywhere to live. But the flip side is all that really did was make her even more driven to work on her comedy and to make something work. So this really sets her on the path to becoming one of the most recognizable faces on TV. I would definitely say in TV comedies. If you look at the list of things she's been in, It's unreal. Yeah. So Rebecca, normally we get into the crime part of the show a little later on, but today I thought I'd like to give you a little taste. Now, yes. Now, this is not the legal part of what the show is about, but I thought I'd give you an idea of who a young Sherri was when she came to Los Angeles, and her ability to make a joke about her situation, which to me is one of the best things about her, that she can really like be in these terrible situations and find like the humor in it. So here's a clip from some press she did for Trial and Error.
I think I was just telling him a story earlier. I was didn't pay traffic tickets. I was on my way to the Comedy Store, which I was a regular at the Comedy Store, and I had all of these traffic tickets, like moving violations, and I would throw the ticket in my glove compartment, and I never paid them. And because I was in this religion where I thought that the world was going to come to an end, and it never came to an end, so I never paid my bills. And so when the cops stopped me, I had like all of these bench warrants, and they arrested me on my way to the Comedy Store. And at the time, when I was like your age girl, I was wearing the same exact thing, a mini skirt, a little top, and I was wearing these thigh-high boots. And so when they took me to jail, they chained me up on the bench, and I kept trying to tell the cops, I'm not like all these other girls. And then I looked at all the hookers, and I'm like, yeah, I am. We're all dressed, we're all dressed alike. We're dressed exactly alike. I was in jail for like 8 days because I didn't have the money to pay the bench warrants. So I was a legal secretary at the time and a comedian. And I called the law firm and I'm like, can I get my vacation like now? Because I'm going to be gone like the next 7 days. So Sybil Brand in the house.
It's such a great story.
Isn't that an amazing story? Yeah, it is.
She is so cute.
Isn't that adorable?
It's like the most adorable story of going to jail ever.
And for 8 days, like it's not like she was there for a couple hours.
That's when my jaw dropped. I've heard of actually in New York City, people do get arrested for outstanding parking tickets because they do accrue here. 8 days is a lot. Also, when she called the law firm, I definitely thought she was going to be asking for a lawyer, not time off, but she's a very good person.
I know. She's like, I need my vacation days. So anyway, I just thought that was a really fun way to bring it up. So I did mention that she's involved in some other legal issues, and those have to do with both marriage and kids. So Sherri's been married twice, and believe you me, she's talked about both of these extensively and really in a way that only she can. Let's start with her first husband, Jeffrey Tapley. Any familiarity with Jeffrey Tapley? None? Okay.
None that I know of.
Either. Yeah. He's probably been in some TV commercials you've seen. He's done some acting work. But at the time when the two met, he was a struggling comic, and really she was as well. So they get married in 2001 in a less than extravagant wedding. And here's a quote from her describing her wedding. She said, quote, I had a TV show that had gotten canceled. Basically, I rented a wedding gown. The reception hall smelled like feet. My bridesmaid bought 20 cans of Glade air freshener and made everyone wait because they had to spray it. I was like, that is a very, I have that visual in my, can you imagine?
And the, what's the scent thing? Olfactory? Like,
yes.
You know exactly what she means when she said that.
Both ways. I know the foot smell she's referring to, as well as too much Glade. Yeah. So Sherri and Jeffrey, they were married for a while, but they wanted to have a child together, and she was unable to get pregnant on her own. And eventually they go through 2 years of fertility treatments before she finally is able to get pregnant with 2 embryos via in vitro fertilization back in 2004. Again, I want to quote her here because I think some of the stuff she says is so funny. She says, quote, we used our American Express card to pay for the entire thing. Not only did we get a baby, but we got double mileage points. And
she's great.
That's the way to do it, I guess. So while she was pregnant with the 2, unfortunately, when she was 11 weeks along, one of the twins passed away. And just 14 weeks later, so she's just 25 weeks, her son, Jeffrey Jr., is born.
Oh, my gosh.
1 pound, 10 ounces.
Oh, my gosh. That's like in the hand.
Yeah, I can't even believe it. So obviously, he's very medically fragile. He's born with bleeding in his brain, a hole in his intestines, and he has a hole in an artery near his heart. He's alive. So let's get that out of the way. I don't want to keep you in suspense on that. Here's where Sherri Shepherd has a very Sherri Shepherd thing to happen to her. So during this time, Sherri says her son is really fighting to stay alive, and she thinks, like, I'm never going to be able to laugh again. And Jeffrey Jr. ends up in the NICU for 3 months before he eventually goes home with just Sherri. Why just Sherri, you ask? Well, that's because while their son is in the NICU, Sherri finds out that her husband Jeffrey has been having an affair.
No.
So not only is he having an affair, the woman he's having an affair with is actually pregnant.
I'm almost speechless.
Yeah, basically. But don't worry. Come to find out, this woman is actually a fan of Sherri's.
Oh, okay then.
It's fine, right?
Yeah, changes everything.
So basically, Sherri finds out about this. She calls this woman to confront her, and the lady's like, I love you on the show Less Than Perfect.
The audacity.
Can you imagine? She was like,
oh my gosh.
Basically like, I guess I'll take that win. I can't imagine. I'd be like, how about you don't compliment me right now, but also keep watching so this show doesn't get canceled. But while Sherri and Jeffrey actually separated and then they ultimately divorced, she did say about the baby that Jeffrey had with another woman, quote, out of this ugliness, a little boy was born who is as special as my son, end quote.
Wow.
Yes, but remember this because this is actually something that later on you'll see why I added this quote.
You highlighted that. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. But Sherri, always able to turn her sadness into laughter, eventually creates a show called Sherri, which was the first sitcom that was actually owned by Lifetime, like their first original series, I guess. Okay. So it's based on her personal life, especially including this affair and new baby and all of that goes along with it. Unfortunately for Sherri, the show only ran for one season. But while Sherri had a fan in her husband's mistress, soon she has tons of fans thanks to having roles in literally dozens of shows, like Suddenly Susan. Did you ever watch Suddenly Susan?
Oh my gosh, yes, I did.
Right? I loved it.
Yeah.
Less Than Perfect, which got great reviews from your husband's favorite girlfriends, and The Jamie Foxx Show. And in 2011, she landed a part as one of my very favorite characters on TV ever, Angie Jordan, wife to Tracy Jordan on 30 Rock. Rebecca, do you have a favorite Angie Jordan moment?
Oh, I meant to actually go back and watch them because I had a feeling you were doing her. But basically, anytime she walked into the green room, I was just like so happy.
So
just
good.
like, she's here and she's wearing leopard. Tell me everything.
Absolutely. Well, my, I guess, favorite, not favorite, but I cannot hear the word ham without hearing it in Angie's voice. So I wanted to send you that to play for those who don't know.
Devon told me she's the new spokeswoman for the Ham Council.
People do like the way she says ham.
Ham!
I forgot about that.
I love it so much. But truly, any moment in my life where somebody says they're getting a ham and cheese sandwich, anything like that, I hear her. She's the moment.
Could this be part of the fabric that created our brand and our LLC?
100%. Sandwich Media is very 30 Rock inspired, Ladies 100%. Of London inspired,
yes.
right?
Yes.
It all came together.
I love it.
We did it. So also in 2007, Sherri gets an offer to be a part of the daytime talk show, The View. She was taking over the seat for Star Jones. When's the last time you heard about Star Jones? 2007?
This is, yeah. I was like, this is her first mention in quite a while. But that was big. That's big. That's a big gig.
Are you a big The View head?
You tell me. What would you guess?
No. You're more of a Rippa girl.
I am. Although I was never much of a daytime talk morning show person. I did go through a View season, though. Do you remember Lisa Ling?
Yes.
She was original cast, I think.
She was. Mm-hmm.
I kind of was into it during that little period.
Okay.
And that was it. Anyway.
Well, they would always get me, like, at certain times, especially, like, when I've had kids and I'm home and, like, you're looking for something. Yeah, like, they would always get me with, like, what's coming up tomorrow. I'd be like, well, I have to watch it.
Yes.
I didn't want to, but here I am. So, obviously, it is a big gig. I even saw in some article this week that was like, The View finally has their season whatever picture released. And I was like, I didn't know we were releasing their pictures I didn't know that was a thing people were looking for. They made it sound like it was like Glamour magazine or whatever's nicer than Glamour. I don't know.
But yeah, it's such a strange. We could talk a lot about The View, but another day.
Okay. So in 2007, Sherri's hired. She's actually hired in September, and the producers are like, hey, we need you here immediately. Keep in mind, she's been living in California this whole time. The problem is, at the time, her son Jeffrey is still just 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
and still having health issues. Like, he was premature and had several issues. At this point, she and Jeffrey Sr. are separated, but they're not yet divorced.
Okay.
So she makes the decision to have little Jeffrey, which is what she calls him, stay in Los Angeles with Jeffrey Sr. because she was very worried about the winters in New York. She was worried on his fragile health that it would be too hard. At the time, Jeffrey's in physical therapy, speech, occupational therapy, and she said, I had to do everything I could to afford them because he still, at this point, has ongoing medical issues, physically and mentally. So Sherri said, quote, leaving my baby was the hardest thing, but this is what I have to do to provide for my son, end quote. So it's during her time on The View that the round world knew something that Sherri did not know. To be fair, she's since learned better, and according to Sherri, this really came from the time she was a kid and the church she grew up in. But here's a clip of Sherri on The View with co-host Whoopi Goldberg, who asks her if the world is round.
Is the world flat?
Is the world flat?
Yes.
I don't know.
What do you think?
I never thought about it, Whoopi. Is the world flat? I never thought about it.
You never thought about whether the world was round?
No, because but I'll tell you what I've thought about, how I'm going to feed my child,
well,
how I'm going to take care of my family. The world flat has never entered into, that has not been an important thing to me.
You'll teach your son, Jeffrey,
If my son, Jeffrey, asks me if the world flat, I guess I will go.
Didn't Columbus already work this question out?
Because my question was, if science tells us that the world is round, where would you negate that science? Well, let me get it out first. That science may say, okay, here's what we think.
So this is brand new information for you.
Yeah, and like I said, I do have issues with The View, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, it's...
I think it's so poorly executed. Like, I understand it's The View. It's like, I can hear Barbara Walters' voice from the beginning. Like,
of course,
4 women with different points of view. Like,
Rebecca, that was so good.
Wait, have I missed my calling being a Baba Wawa impersonator?
I love that you said Baba Wawa because I have that written in my notes a little further down.
I just think like it's an unfair setup, the whole show. But that was alarming.
Yeah, that was very alarming. And so while you're recovering from that, let's take a quick break to hear a word from this week's sponsors. So Sherri, when she's speaking about her time on The View, she says it's one of the best experiences of her life, but it was definitely hard, as you and I can both imagine. She said basically the first 3 years she just cried in her dressing room. And I can see that. I've heard a lot of hosts from that show say that. I know. I've never heard anyone say out of the gate, favorite thing I've ever done. Yeah. I've mostly heard
regrets.
That it's a nightmare. Yeah, only regrets. So eventually, though, she said she really did learn a lot from being on The View and in the world of politics and just the round world in general. Before she went on The View, she had actually never voted and admittedly was not aware of anything to have to do with politics.
Wow. But that's her upbringing.
Yes, exactly. That was all very much from the way she was raised. And of course, being on The View for 7 years opens the door to tons of opportunities for Sherri. You want to guess any of the reality shows that she was on, Rebecca?
Was she on like Big Brother or Celebrity Apprentice?
Oh, no, those would have been good. She was on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh.
The Masked Singer, which I really still can't get my brain around. And apparently she was randomly on an episode of Dance Moms, but I have no memory of this.
That shocks me that you have no memory of it.
I know. Well, it's a useless fact, so I should know.
Right. Involving TLC.
Exactly. Actually, that was Lifetime, Rebecca. Let's get it right.
Oh, see,
TLC did not touch that.
Who am I contending with?
Yeah, exactly.
You're the master.
Yeah. So, folks, that's really the reality of it. I'm not going to go into all those shows because we've talked about them and it's not that interesting. But I want to go back to the legality of it all because there's definitely a lot more.
Of course.
Okay. So in 2009, Sherri is introduced by the fiance of actress and comedian Niecy Nash. So do you know Niecy Nash? She's from 911 and stuff. I love her. So she's engaged to this guy, and this guy introduces a man named his friend, Lamar Sally, to Sherri Shepherd.
Okay.
as a whatever for them to maybe date. Well,
Yeah.
At this point, Sherri says, I'm in New York. I'm lonely. I'm raised in a church where sex before marriage isn't allowed. So she said basically she got married so she wouldn't burn in hell. Those are her words.
To this guy, Lamar, the
Yes.
second guy?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's basically like, yeah, she's lonely and she's just like, I need someone here in the biblical sense. Apparently, though, while Niecy Nash's fiance knew and liked Lamar, she didn't really know him that well.
Oh, great.
She being Niecy Nash. Yep. And she overlooks several red flags. Later, Sherri is interviewed on the D.L. Hughley show, and D.L. tells her the first time he met Lamar, he knew that was a, quote, sorry, a dude.
I heard it in his voice before you said it. I'm like, that is what he's going to call him. That is so funny, and I'm so upset that he wasn't properly vetted for our Sherri.
No, I know, unfortunately, yeah.
Well, to be fair, they probably didn't think she was just going to jump right to marriage. They probably,
No.
yeah.
Thought there might be some dating. Nobody knew.
Yeah, I take it back.
Okay, well, you don't need to, honestly, because Sherri agrees that it's not just D.L. Hughley that's saying that. She hears this from a lot of people. People like Steve Harvey and even Barbara Walters. Whoopi Goldberg disliked him so much. Have you ever had that moment when you're leaving the house and you wonder, did I lock the door? Or worse yet, you start spiraling and you imagine all the what ifs. I used to feel that way all the time, but it wasn't until a few years ago when I heard about a break-in just a few blocks away that I realized I needed to really step up my home security game. And now I can spiral about the what ifs on things that don't matter, like reality stars, instead of the what ifs of home security. We've had SimpliSafe protecting our house for the last few years now, and it's a total game changer. With SimpliSafe's Fast Protect monitoring, I know within 5 seconds if something's actually up, and the lifeguards can actually speak to intruders to stop them. That's faster than a reality TV star can throw a drink. One of the things I really love the most is you're not locked into some over-the-top 90-day fiancé level contract drama. SimpliSafe is actually affordable as well, less than $1 a day with no hidden fees, so it's easy to love. It's no wonder they've been named Best Home Security Systems by U.S. News and World Report for 5 years running. Whether you want to install it yourself, it really takes less than an hour, or have a professional handle it, SimpliSafe is as easy as flipping channels between Chimp Crazy and The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So why wait for the drama to happen? Get SimpliSafe and know your home is covered just like I did. Protect your home with 50% off a new SimpliSafe system, plus a free indoor security camera when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/criminality. That's simplysafe.com/criminality. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
Much she wouldn't even come to the wedding.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Drama. So apparently, since her last wedding smelled like feet and was just not that great, when Lamar pushes the idea of having this big wedding, she just goes along with it. He wanted it to be on TV, all of this stuff, and she's like, okay. Which feels very Star Jones. Remember when Star Jones had like her whole...
yeah.
Yeah, that was like a huge deal. So I didn't learn much about the wedding except that it happened in 2011. And on the list of other people who didn't actually want to be a part of the wedding was her bridesmaid, Kim Whitley. Would you like to guess why Kim ends up showing up to be in the wedding? What would draw someone to be in a wedding of someone they don't like?
So that when they say, does anyone here object? So she could object.
that would be great. But instead,
that's not the word, but speak now or forever hold your peace.
Right. That would have been helpful, but that was not it. Sherri gave free iPads to her wedding party, and Kim wanted an iPad.
Stop. I thought Kim Whitley had some integrity and was showing up to do the right thing for her friend.
No, Kimberly needed an iPad, and I don't fault her for it. Yeah. Okay, so
that is so
isn't that great. So good? Like, I heard an interview where Sherri said that, and I was like, it wasn't just in writing, it was like her quote, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, that's sad.
So at this point, Sherri's obviously divorced from Jeffrey Sr., and she is marrying Lamar. She's married to Lamar, and she's back in court with Jeffrey Sr. regarding Jeffrey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in 2014, Jeffrey Sr. files for temporary physical custody of Jeffrey, saying that Sherri had been neglecting him. He said she's too busy with her schedule and doesn't have time for her son. Which is very hurtful, I would imagine, having that. A judge eventually rules in her favor, but that is not the last time we will hear from Jeffrey Sr.
And they're still in different coasts?
Still coast to coast, much like America's Funniest Videos. Remember that song? Don't make me sing it, because I will. But we do have laughs from coast to coast, and maybe lawsuits pending. We'll see. So here's where I get to my joke here, Rebecca. But let's get back to Lamar. So everyone, including Baba Wawa, hates Lamar. And eventually, and pretty quickly, Sherri does too.
Oh,
I know. So she claims Lamar was... Well, first, I'll say the nice thing. I read one interview where she said, he loves my son, and that's so important to me. I don't know how long that worked, because she claims Lamar is pretty much a fraud. He's not working, and he has a very difficult relationship with the truth. So Sherri said she's tired. She has a son, Jeffrey, who has special needs. She's working all the time. And this guy that she felt she had to marry to do things is just fussing that he wants a baby of his own. So Sherri, he wants a biological baby. He's like obsessed with this idea. Sherri does not want to do this. She says every day we get in the same argument. He'd say, it's not fair. You have Jeffrey Jr. or little Jeffrey. I don't have anyone. She said every day it was just over and over and over. Eventually, Sherri basically says, fine, let's get a surrogate. This is a longer clip, but this is her words, what happens to this baby that she and Lamar eventually hire a surrogate to carry.
Yeah, I pay child support,
Do you see the baby?
Because the child's not biologically connected to me.
Right.
So what
you like, I'm not getting involved in that.
What people don't know, because you will never see anything other than a smile. I don't let you in on my private life. So what people don't know is every day we argued. Every day we argued about this. He wanted a baby. I did not want a baby because I have Jeffrey with special needs. I was tired.
Right.
And he was like, it ain't fair that you have a baby. Do you have a son and I don't have a son? And I mean, it literally, basically, he was like, well, if you don't have my baby, then... So when somebody do this,
right,
that mean I'm going to go, and it was so public, our wedding, because he wanted to have it on TV. He wanted to have a big wedding, which the IRS is still audited me for. And so it was just like, it was so public, it was an embarrassment. So basically, I had consigned myself to, okay, we're going to have this baby, and I'm going to just be unhappy for the rest of my life and have an affair. Because I said, well, how are we going to take care of this child? Because I'm working 2 jobs already. I'm doing a newlywed game. I'm doing a view. And he's like, we'll get a second nanny. How are we supposed to afford a second nanny?
Oh, I'm just supposed to work myself to death.
And then I told him, because he was an out-of-work writer, and I said, well, you got to get a job writing. And he was like, no, because if we have a baby, I'm staying home. No, I don't do stay-at-home husbands. I do husbands that work. But he was adamant, I'm not going to Hollywood to get no job. I'm going to stay home. And, well, then how am I supposed to? Then that means I got to work. So people don't understand. We were having those kind of arguments every day. And then I got to go on the air and be happy. So I finally said, fine, I didn't pick the surrogate. I didn't pick the donor who had the egg. I didn't pick the gestational carrier. I was not involved. So when I finally put him out, because I found out he was doing all kinds of stuff, he said, I said, well, I'll pay you $2,000 a month, $2,500 for your son. And if, if you need anything, if I'm working, I'll be the fairy godmother. I'll come, hey, Kevin, I'll come in here and I'll help you out. And then he was like, no, I want $10,000 a month. And he said, if your son go to private school, my son go to private school. And I said, but my son is in a school for kids with special needs. If he wasn't, he'd be open a public school in Jersey. So it was that kind of extortion stuff to people. And because God, when he was doing all the interviews, God was like, shut it down. So because God was like, don't talk, I never said nothing. So people don't know. Then, I go and they go, all my merchandise that I used to sell on the road, I had built up like $25,000. So when my business manager was like, yeah, you got $200. So he took all the money out the account. So that's the kind of stuff people don't know. And for me, like, the baby doesn't know me. I put him out when the lady was 4 months pregnant.
Right.
It would be more detrimental to my son to have a relationship with a child that's not biologically his brother.
Right.
Nobody thinks about myself. They keep going, well, why don't y'all just, be a part of the baby's life? But the baby don't know me.
Right, at all.
He doesn't know me at all. We're not biologically connected. For me to try to build a bond with my son and this child when he already has 2 siblings from my ex-husband who cheated on me and had a baby. Now, I do everything I can to keep their bond. But to open my son's heart to a child that's not his brother, it doesn't make any sense. So I think people don't understand that he wants to have a relationship so he can still be attached to me, so he can do a reality show. So
Whoa. It's a really tough one.
It is, but she made the choice to hire the surrogate.
That's where I'm struggling. I mean, like, the not generous response to everything I just heard is like, she just kind of like bought her husband a baby.
Basically.
And then doesn't want anything to do with it because she's not biologically connected to it. I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah, which to me is like super hurtful because tons of families have non-biological kids and adoption and all this.
Considered family.
Yes, exactly. And she even bringing in her son's half-siblings and saying, well, they have a biological connection, therefore I make this work. And this poor other kid has nothing to do with it. And she agreed to it. That's where...
I don't understand that part, though. Like,
I totally agree.
It was this that's like, I mean, talk about appeasing a spouse. Like, that's a grand gesture to, like, quiet someone down. I don't know. That's a weird choice.
And to put him out when the surrogate's 4 months pregnant. And I think they spent about $100,000 on this. So this wasn't like a small thing. It's a total disaster. Like, what I go through on a personal basis with my son and all of that. If I was to have another baby, it would be the most difficult thing in the world. But I would never knowingly, in my situation, have another baby. Like, I would never seek this out. I don't care what a husband says.
Yeah, 100%. Messy.
So messy. So according to Sherri, she doesn't want this baby. Lamar guilts her into it. She splits with him when the surrogate, like I said, is 4 months pregnant. And she offers $2,000 support a month, but doesn't want anything to do with the baby, especially not having her name on the birth certificate as the mother.
Jeez. Wow.
The reason she really thinks that this was okay because the baby isn't biologically related to her son. So this is where I really have a hard time with those words she keeps saying.
Well, yeah, especially when your actions are like to spend an exorbitant amount of money to bring the baby into the world. It's sort of like, well, I don't know. I'm very curious how a court will look at this because that's very an intentional act.
So obviously, none of this is the baby's fault, right? Which is the sad part in the whole thing. Lamar also, during their divorce, asked for the prenup to be invalidated. I don't know the specifics of the prenup, but he said on grounds of fraud, which they're both throwing the word fraud at each other. So eventually, Sherri files lawsuits. She does not want her name on the birth certificate, but eventually the courts decide that her name as the mother has to be on this birth certificate. And despite splitting up while the surrogate was pregnant, the court rules that Sherri is the legal mother and she had to continue paying child support.
Oh, wow.
So Sherri admits in court that she went through with the surrogacy out of fear Lamar would leave her. But later, she tried to distance herself from the arrangement. Isn't that crazy? Like, you're worried he's going to leave you, but then you leave him in 4 months?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, this doesn't even make sense.
Ultimately, though, this case actually sets a precedent in surrogacy law.
Whoa.
Yeah. So here's a quote from Craig Bluestein, who was a legal representative for the baby. So he says, quote, I don't know if this is true, but this is his quote. I think this is the first case in the nation where one of the intended parents has tried to opt out of the contract when the pregnancy was in play. This is very important because gestational carriers need to know that if they are intending other people to be the parents, that the carrier's name won't be on the birth certificate as mother, and carry with it all the responsibilities of being a mother, including child support for a child you never intended to have. Exactly. So it makes a lot of sense when it's, said like that. Why would somebody want to be a surrogate if all of a sudden at the end they're told, actually, now this is your baby? And
the job's not over. It just got a lot longer.
I know. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. So as a result, Sherri's been ordered to pay monthly child support payments of $4,100 to Lamar. Okay. I'm not sure if this is still the amount today, but this was a few years ago after the final appeal. So she was fighting this. It goes up to, maybe it was the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. I'm assuming that's where maybe Lamar was living at the time. But anyway, it goes all the way up there and they're like, absolutely not, too bad. This is how it stands. So I'm not sad about that. I think that's very good. But the fight over custody seems to continue between Jeffrey Sr. and Sherri. It's a whole other thing.
Does she sleep?
Not well. So in 2020, Jeffrey files for a temporary emergency order stating that Jeffrey Jr. again is being neglected. This time he says, Jeffrey's 9, he can't tie his own shoes, he still reads at a 2nd grade level, and he has poor hygiene. He says basically Sherri works too much and her schedule has, quote, caused her to neglect Jeffrey and deprive him access to basic educational needs, a nurturing and loving environment, and care that Jeffrey so desperately needs. So at this point, Sherri and Jeffrey Jr., he's living with her in New York. And she files a response to Jeffrey Sr., who is living in California, and says that he's unfit to have custody of their son, and he's an absentee father. Keep in mind, though, Rebecca, this is all happening while she's dealing with this surrogacy thing. So it's both of these going on at once.
And 2 jobs.
At least 2 jobs.
Right.
That
2
we know
consistent jobs and probably other gigs and opportunities she's navigating.
Absolutely.
It's a lot.
At some point, apparently, both men are in court together. Can you imagine? That's biggest nightmare. To which Sherri says about her situation, quote, it's rough. I had to go to the court the other day and both the husbands were there. I was just like, Lord, I am really getting tested today. They go to court together, dumber and dumb blank. And that did make me laugh.
That makes me laugh too. It's also I don't know why, dad's against drunk driving. It's husbands against Sherri Shepherd. It's they're banding together.
It is First Wives Club, but kind of opposite and all that. Yeah. So at this point, though, it does seem like all the custody issues have settled down at least. And beginning in 2022, I don't know if you knew this, but Sherri took over the time slot of the Wendy Williams show when Wendy Williams, her show stopped. She had been a guest host several times. So the show seems to be doing well, and there doesn't seem to be too much controversy. That is, until I Googled her show, and there was an update from February of 2024. So it's been a few months. So she has this executive producer named Matt Uzzle, I think is how you say his name, and he died by suicide back in February. So it's reported that Matt, who previously worked on the Wendy Williams show, he worked on Maury Povich, he's worked on everything. He has an accident a few months before he dies. So during this time, people are at work filling in for him. And that's when they start looking through things and realize a lot of bills aren't being paid.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And so when they caught this, allegedly there's this financial investigation launched on the show. Here's a quote. In total, there was an accusation that Matt was responsible for at least $5 million that went missing. But it seems this was happening for so long that it very well could be more.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And because I don't want to end on such a dark note, I thought instead I would play you a clip of one of my favorite Sherri characters of all time. This is a clip from the show Trial and Error, which I urge all of you to watch. It's so funny and based on kind of the Michael Peterson staircase murder.
Oh, yeah, we did. We had a big conversation about this. Yes.
Loved it. Still can't believe it's canceled. I blame all of you. But this is a clip of Anne, who is a secretary and researcher who has facial blindness amongst a million other actual disorders, which become increasingly funny on the show.
So let's meet the rest of the team. Josh, this is your assistant and head researcher and intern, Ann Flatch. She's the best of the best.
Hi, nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you, Ann. Is there a fan around?
May I help you?
Josh, we met 45 seconds ago.
I have something called facial amnesia. I can't recognize anyone by their face. It's completely blank. It does have its perks. With my husband, it's like sleeping with a different man every night. I do recognize penises, though. A man stopped by. He was very angry.
Did you get his name?
No, he was yelling, and I got nervous.
Do you remember what he looked like?
Of course. Here you go.
All right, well, we know he has no face.
That's amazing. That is a great clip and a good incentive to watch.
Right? It's so good. So that's the story of Sherri Shepherd and all of her crazy custody battles, but I still find her to be incredibly funny on things. I just think she made the surrogacy thing is the one, I don't know, that could have been huge problems for surrogates, and then people wanting to be surrogates, and they have to be protected. I mean, remember, what was it, Jeff Lewis, who talked about his surrogacy? Do you remember that? No, I was just going to say that he said some vile stuff about his surrogate, like her personal everything. And so, I mean, they're doing such a service for people. It's amazing to me that, I mean, I just think they should be protected for sure.
Yeah, the baby, the surrogate.
Yeah.
This definitely feels like a misstep for her because I do overall find her to be so talented and very fun to watch on screen. But I wonder if there's just some residual disconnect between her worldview growing up.
It very well could be.
And how she operates in these major life decisions. It just feels like there's some I don't know how to describe it other than a disconnect, because she seems like a good person.
Right. I think flat earth and surrogacy are both, that could make sense that both of those were not discussed when she was a child, and therefore
this is uncharted territory for her, truly. And also when you can't have sex before marriage but you can get divorced, I don't know.
It's a weird,
it's a lot of cognitive dissonance, and I'm sure she struggles, and I feel for her.
For
but
sure.
I do think
I think the court ruled in the right way, and I am glad that she was willing to pay the money even before, but the whole fairy godmother, it was just you made a mistake. You should not have agreed to have a baby with this man and paid for all of this. So, I don't know. I just feel bad for the kid.
Really interesting story, though.
Yeah.
It was fun to do something that wasn't just, I don't know, back and forth divorce.
Yeah.
Or business lawsuits. It was really interesting.
Okay. Well, I'm glad.
Good job.
I
enjoyed it.
Good.
And the 3 seconds of 30 Rock just makes me want to go do a comfort watch before bed.
I know. Well, good luck. But the Queen of Jordan episode is one of my favorites.
Oh my gosh, how could we not mention?
Yeah. It's the best. Yeah. So, Rebecca, I know that you've seen a lot of these shows that Sherri's been on, but I'd like to know if there's anything not Sherri Shepherd that you've been watching this past week, or weeks, months, whatever.
Indeed, I have. I felt so bad about last week that I hadn't really watched something.
Oh, yeah.
Can't believe I haven't watched this the day it came out, but here we go.
Okay.
Netflix.
Okay.
Hollywood. K-pop.
I have no idea.
I'm shocked. Okay, so here's the caveat.
Okay.
I'm 1 episode in. I've been known to change my mind on shows further, and I think a lot of people do that, right? You think you like something, then you don't, or you thought you didn't, then you do. So I'm endorsing it now, leaving room to change my mind.
Sure.
It's called Popstar Academy.
Oh, okay. I have not even seen anything about it.
I don't think that's ever happened to us.
Normally, I've at least heard of something. But K-pop is not something that I would even see and slow down.
Well, then you'll probably like this show.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me read the blurb because I was expecting you to know more about it, and now I feel like I don't even know what to say.
Sure.
20 aspiring pop stars undergo a K-pop training program in this docuseries about the creation of Hybe. So by the X, it's a collaboration. So it's Hybe by Geffen's first global girl group, Cat's Eye.
Oh, okay.
So remember making the band, the girls one?
Of course.
Danity Kane. Yes. I've always actually wanted to do, anyway, that's on the
that's got to be a good one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's the 2024 that, but it's, I guess, Hybe and Geffen. I didn't really look into this, but they're major production companies and music labels collaborating.
Geffen, I knew.
And the difference, Geffen, you've heard of? Okay. Mm-hmm. I hadn't heard of either of these. So there you go. They're looking around the world. So they're putting together girls from all different countries.
Sure.
And The K-pop part of it is interesting. And at first I was really annoyed because they're like, what you learn in this series that's really interesting is that K-pop has a very specific, like, I don't know how to describe, like methodology. Like they teach kids to get into these K-pop groups a very specific way of training. And it's become something that they've replicated and like do across the country. And that's, I guess, why it's such a proven success, because K-pop exploded globally, and except for you, like everyone is watching K-pop. And so they're like, wait, what if we took those training tools but took out the K? It's basically the producer on it's like, it's K-pop without the K. And I'm like, rude. Like, how can you just steal a whole country's like MO?
Right.
But then they have this, like, the creative director of it all is like the godfather of K-pop in Korea. And he's sanctioning this, so it's okay. Everybody can chill. Because I was like, oh, forget this, Netflix.
Yeah.
I was like, how dare you? So 20 girls, you know I love this, right? We're talking 16 to 19-year-old girls coming together in Hollywood, and some they choose because they're really good dancers, but okay singers. Some are amazing singers, but like need to work on dance. Some are like rappers and freestylers, but they just have the star quality. And it's really fun to watch. The girls are pretty great. There hasn't been any that are questionable. It's early.
Sure.
But here's my issues with these shows, right? Okay. I don't love watching dreams being dashed, but I do love watching like young artists with dreams and stars in their eyes, because that's relatable to me. Sure. So it's a real tension for me as I watch, but I think it's done really well. It's a good, high quality Netflix show. But I guess I'm going on too long. I just watched this last night, so it's like very top of mind. The takeaway for me is like, it's still just this, they're like a commodity, but they're so open about it. I feel like what's changed is like we're more transparent about what we're doing.
Sure.
We're like plucking you all from obscurity, putting you together to make a lot of money.
Right.
And this is what you have to do for us to get our money back. I mean, but now they say things like, your physical and mental health are so important to us. But if you can't handle that, it's like they say that thing, but then they're basically like, you suck.
Yeah.
So that just bothers me, but I guess it's better that at least we're honest about what the industry is. Like, we're not pretending anymore that it's like not about money. I don't know.
Right. Not just like five best friends who definitely didn't meet last week.
Yeah. Girls next door all coming together to like pursue their dream. It's like, and the girls are really honest about it too. Like, a lot of them are already TikTok creators and Instagram famous. So they're like, this is going to take my career to the next level. So everyone sort of seems like very on top of it and like they know what's happening. But at the end of the day, they're like teenage girls and dealing with a lot of very high level professional feedback that I could never deal with. So it's a good watch. And the girls are just so beautiful, so talented, so unique. Right. It's cool. I like it.
When you, first of all, I actually do want to listen to, or do want to watch that. That sounds interesting. It will get me out of my Breaking Bad rewatch, and I need to just move on.
Please, Melissa, let that go. That is not healthy.
I'm in the third season. I have to, it's a whole.
Not a third rewatch.
No. Every year, Rebecca. I've probably watched this like 20 times, and it hasn't even been out 20 years. But what I was going to say is that when you said like how gorgeous and everything they are, which I know isn't like the whole point, but it is marketable and all that. It just reminds me of like poor Susan Boyle. Like, are we ever going to get a Susan Boyle again? Somebody who's just like a great singer and that's it. On The Voice, all these shows, these people are gorgeous now. I'm like, where's the homely people? They need representation too.
Maybe that'll be a different band and it won't be called Cat's Eye. It'll be like Blind Eye or Cat's Ears. Because they have perfect pitch.
Please be Blind Eye. That's Cat's Glass Eye.
Yeah, no, I know. But the truth is, I mean, that's one of the 4 categories too. It's like we judge on vocal ability, dance ability, something else. And then like, it's
hot or not
looks. Basically, it's kind of like visual appeal or something they call
That's more offensive.
I know. I should look it up because I don't think that's it, but it is a euphemism for how you look.
Right.
It might be watchability. I don't remember.
Yeah, no. It's the hots.
Yeah. Yep.
I do want to watch it. Okay, I'm going to check that out. Would you like to hear my clues for what I watched?
Of course.
I want to know if you've watched this. I've kept it quiet
Oh, I hate when you do that, but I love when you do that because it's like a gift, but one that I didn't know I was waiting for. Okay.
There you go. Okay. Max. You might already know it. Monkey.
Oh.
Wigs.
The chimp doc?
Yes.
I can't.
Great. Okay. Tell me why before I even start this.
Tell me why I should.
Well, first of all, did you watch Tiger King?
Yeah, that's why I feel like I can't. I feel like Tiger King effed me up.
Oh, okay.
Long term. It's like long COVID and long Tiger King. I don't feel right since then.
Okay.
And I'm afraid it'll be the same experience.
So far, so good for me. I love Tiger King too, so this might not be your thing. I'll read the premise. Tanya Haddix, an animal broker, spends her days taking care of chimpanzee Tonka. Her love for Tonka spins into a game with authorities and an animal rights group, PETA. The series additionally explores the owners of non-human primates and their experiences. So it's the same people that did Tiger King, first of all.
Yeah, I can tell.
So, but everyone knows Tiger King, right? So like from the beginning, it's the guy who was like the director and the producer of Tiger King, him having to like pick a surrogate to go interview people because if it's him, nobody's going to talk to him. So it's like this random guy who used to work at a circus is pretending to be a producer and like taking things on in real time, like just way different than what he thought he would. But really the show to me is about this Tanya lady who is wild and like says things like, I love this monkey more than I love my children. And it's just wild. But she's so, I don't know. She's just something totally different. I would suggest, and this is actually how I started watching it, Watch What Crappens, listen to their first episode without really.
I saw that they're covering it.
I know.
Listen
to their first episode, and then you kind of get an idea if you need to fast forward or like get the whole breakdown to see if it feels like something you might not like. We're not seeing animal abuse like we did in Tiger King.
Well, does she own Tonka like a pet?
You'd have to find out. I couldn't tell you because that's kind of the magic of it. This lady is just a wild character. Like she just doesn't even seem real. Much in the Joe Exotic, just like how is this person on the same round earth that Sherri Shepherd did not know about?
Right. But I felt like that of all of the three main characters on Tiger King. I mean, in that way, I'm sure it's very compelling and done very well. And I hate when everyone's talking about something and I'm purposely abstaining, but here's how badly I don't want to watch it. I know that Ronnie and Ben are covering it. Like you said, I like your advice. I should listen to their recap. Dax is watching it and talks about it, an armchair expert, and I'm still not convinced.
Well, then it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Right? I feel like that's kind of my barometer. And I don't know.
Who cares what I say? Those are your two, that's your northern star.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really well done. It's actually very pretty in ways.
Is it episodes?
Kind of yeah, 4 episodes. The 4th one comes out this weekend. But I don't know. I've enjoyed it just because a part of it is like being a part of the conversation. I like when things are going on and, keeping up with whatever the story is and stuff. So I don't know. I've enjoyed it. It's wild. It's just, I just don't understand some people. And that's kind of why I like it. Oh, this lady Tanya hates PETA with a burning passion. Like I've never seen anybody hate anyone like this. She literally says the attorney for PETA, she's like, I'm always on Facebook checking to see if his wife has divorced him yet. Like she's wild, the things she says, but
no filter.
Oh yeah. Oh, do you remember this? Do you remember Charla, the lady whose face was bitten off by a chimpanzee? And she was on Oprah, and I remember her wearing this
yes.
You remember that, right?
Yes.
So they discuss her story, and but that's one of those very vivid memories I have because
was that in the 90s?
I think so. It was just unreal. So
makes a camel bite look a lot better.
Seriously, and we've brought it all the way around. So Rebecca, don't watch it, but other people watch it and tell me what you think.
And and I'm open to more convincing. I think maybe because it's standing apart from the full-on pandemic, it will be different. Maybe it's just a guilt by association, Like
was it an animal thing that was the issue for you?
I think it was truly like the time and place of it all. Like when I think about Tiger King, I shudder because I just picture my life that month.
Got it. Okay.
And what I love about it is like it's something the whole country can connect on. Like Where were you when the
Right.
O.J. Simpson verdict was read? It's like, where were you when while we were all at home watching the Tiger King? It's like the through line is like something we all shared. So in that sense, I'm open. But the animal stuff wasn't great, but it was almost the people stuff. It was almost like...
It doesn't feel that way. Not like somebody that's working there getting their arm bit. It's not. I didn't feel that way at all watching it. This is just like a lady who helps, I guess, sell animals, which isn't great, but like, yeah, that's not good. I don't know. You'd have to watch it.
You're the majority. I'm the minority. So you don't feel like you have to justify. I think you gave me great advice. I'm going to listen to Ronnie and Ben's recap tomorrow, and then I'll let you know.
That's how I got into it. I actually listened to the first two, and then I was like, I actually have to get this now.
Oh, wow.
It.
Okay,
so,
well,
yeah.
Tall order, but let's see how it goes.
Let's see. Rebecca, before we go, I would love to know what your next episode is going to be about, or your clues.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to have time to watch it, because I have a lot of work to do, because this is a big story.
Let's go.
Your clues are... twins, Paris Hilton, Denise Richards. Melissa, you look so distressed because you didn't get either guest tonight, and I can see your little competitive nature coming out.
My bigger problem is I feel like this. Why don't I know it? That's like I don't know, but
I should tell you. Like, it would be the kind thing to do, but I'm not going to. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to. I'm going to kind of just ride this little high that you didn't know either thing tonight.
Yeah, I'll enjoy it, or enjoy it while it lasts, because I'll come back next time bigger.
Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to wake up to a text that you sent in the middle of the night when you shoot up from bed and go, and remember what it is.
Name the clues one more time so I can think about this.
Twins, Paris Hilton, Denise Richards.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll figure it out, I guess. I don't know. All right. Dang it. Okay. All right.
This is amazing. I'm a monster, but I'm enjoying this.
Perfect.
That was really fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Sorry. It was a lot
You're so distressed. Do you need me to do the closing? Do you need me to take over? Okay.
Please.
You guys, thank you so much for listening. Melissa is... If she could, she'd be banging her head against her desk, but she knows it won't sound good to your ears. But we'll do this again in 2 weeks. You can follow us on Instagram at Criminality Show. You can visit our website, criminalityshow.com. And as always, comment, let us know what you're watching, and if you have any guesses for next week's episode.
How dare you. See everyone in 2 weeks.
Bye.